right, so coming in and taking a look at example 3, and hopefully you guys have already worked this, so we're just going to do a quick discussion of some important features of this. Now, kind of before you move on and you check everything that's going on, one of the most common mistakes in this one is because it says that the writer set the spring in motion by compressing it to a high point of 60 centimeters, and that's when he started his stopwatch. And then it says 1.8 seconds later, it gets closest to the floor, 40 centimeters above it. And so the most common mistake that I see in students' work for this type of problem is that you guys have placed 1.6 seconds, or sorry, 1.8 seconds for the period. But you have to remember that a full cycle means that you have to, wherever you started from, you have to get back to that starting point. And so when you look at this, if he starts at a high and then 1.8 seconds later he's at a low, it takes another 1.8 seconds to get back to the high that he is in. So if you have made that mistake, you do want to go back, pause the video, and then rework the problem with the correct period, because that's going to affect pretty much every answer that you have. So pause, make yourself a note, and then go back and fix it. All right, for those of you that did have it correct, we're going to continue on here and take a look at some important features. So I did the same thing. We know that the frequency is the reciprocal of the period. So we added in that it's one cycle every 3.6 seconds. I then came over here and I used this average velocity, or finding the average velocity by using the frequency times 2 pi, which is essentially what you're doing to get this radians per second by simply converting it. There's 2 pi radians in a cycle. And remember that that gives us the B value that we're going to use in the equation. And I just showed you the other option for that was to use the formula where B equals 2 pi divided by the period, and then I went ahead and simplified. So either way you go, you get B is this pi over 1.8. Our max height was 60. Our min height was 40. Our midline is halfway in the middle of that, which is 50. And our amplitude, the distance from the max to the midline, is 10. So hopefully you can take a look at your graph. Now notice the key points that I have added down here on the x-axis. 3.6 is the period. We divided it in half to get 1.8. I did half of that to get the key point there, 0.9, and then 2.7. And I didn't write it, but technically 0 is the other key point. So those would be your 5 key points where you follow your pattern: max, inflection, min, inflection, max, because we started at a high point, went to the low 1.8 seconds later, and then back to the high. And again, I usually like to show about 3 periods of the graph. So I pretty much took the 3.6, added 3.6 to it to get the next end of a period, added 3.6 to that to get the next end of the period, and just continued the pattern. Make a note that your x-axis is your time in seconds, your y-axis is your height in centimeters. Now this one's actually a nice one in terms of the equation, because the phase shift, when I looked at it, it was starting at a max, which is exactly what a regular parent graph cosine with no flip does. So I pretty much went straight for that, so I didn't have to worry about adding a phase shift in, and so we simply put in our amplitude, no flip, so it's positive, our B value we had calculated above, no phase shift, and then your midline at 50. Pretty much from there, it was using your calculator. I simply just did a trace. Since I had graphed it, again, setting my X window 0 to about 11, my Y window 0 to 70, graphed it, made sure I was in radian mode, and I just did trace to get my answer down here of the 58.660 centimeters. I did take a look at it, and we were graphing the first positive value of time. The weight is 47 above the floor. So I came in here and I graphed y equals 47. So that was this line right here on the calculators, put it in Y2. And then we were looking for the first positive value of time when that weight is 47. So I pretty much did the intersection right here and calculated that using second calc intersect. And so that ended up being at 1.075 seconds using your calculator for that. During the first 9 seconds, how long was the weight? At least 53 centimeters above the floor. So again, I came in, I graphed my y equals 53. So I changed y2 to be 53. And I decided, kind of looking at this, what's highlighted in pink here are the number of cycles that you see in 9 seconds. So from here to here, when I looked at that, this is 2.5 cycles of the graph. And so that's why the 2.5 is being multiplied down there. I decided to go ahead and find this intersection point and that intersection point for the two that I was going to subtract. So that way I could find a whole section. It's certainly not the only way that you guys can do this. You could have found this intersection point right here and calculated this distance, which of course would have been the x value. And then you could have multiplied that intersection point value by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, because you have 5 of these little half times going up. But either way you go, you should get the same values that I got over here for the final value of 3.627 seconds. All right, and then I went ahead and did example 4, because that's a continuation of this, in that I wanted to find the equation if he started his stopwatch when the weight was 51 centimeters above the floor and moving away from it, which means moving up. So I moved my y-axis over to this point, and again, I changed my y2 to be 51, and I calculated this intersection point where you were at that intersection and going up from it so that you were going away. That's the 2.757 that I have. And remember, when we move that and we make that the new y-axis, that means that my graph that I originally had, I need to shift the graph, which used to have that peak right here. It used to be right here, right? It used to be on the y-axis. So we shifted the graph to the left, whatever that value was. So left 2.757, which is why we ended up with a plus 2.757 in our equation. All right, so that's going to wrap up the examples that I'm going to do for you. I'm going to go ahead and put a key up to the Fundy Tides example. And I, didn't separate this out as much, so this is kind of you knowing what to do if you see a problem like this. So put this on your own paper or show your work down below. And after you are done, come back in and check your answers with the key that I put up for the homework. So if you guys have any more questions on sinusoid applications, let me know. We are going to come back in after spring break, and we'll probably have a quiz that covers pretty much all of section 5.2 in your textbooks, which is graphing sine and cosine, transforming sine and cosine, and these applications of sinusoids. So if you have any questions on that, on any of these Desmos activities or these applications that we've been doing, shoot me an email and I will be happy to kind of work with you to make sure you're ready for the quiz we're having after spring break. Thanks, guys. Y'all have a great spring break. Just make sure that kind of looking ahead to our planner, let's see, here we are for this week. We basically just need to finish up. For you guys, I have 2 videos for you to watch on Friday. These are just kind of some wrap-up videos. Over here, you just do want to finish your applications of sinusoids, complete the 2 problems, revisit the Burning Daylight Desmos activity as needed, and make sure that you guys have your Wiley Plus login and password. Because the quiz that you're going to take, it's going to be open notes, but I do want you to, it's going to be through Wiley Plus for that. And so will you go ahead and make sure that you have your Wiley Plus login. One thing that I will note about Wiley Plus, let me go to it really quickly for you guys. Wiley Plus login, that when you go to the login page, I'm going to remind you that we're doing this Legacy Wiley Plus platform. So you'll log in there. Hopefully you have your login information saved on your computers, but if you do not, just remember you were using, I believe, your school email to put it in, and just click forgot your password, and then you can go ahead and log in. So it's going to be in Wiley Plus, so make sure you take care of that before the week after spring break. So this will pretty much be the last time that you have anything kind of going on from me before spring break. So if you guys would just make sure you kind of get yourself caught up on these items. I am going to encourage you that once you are done with the items on April 3rd, the 2 little videos that I'm asking you to watch over here, they are in this one little discussion about why inside transformations are backwards, and then also some more information on using your graphing calculators. As you saw, this was kind of important in our sinusoid applications. But I do encourage you guys, take a break over spring break. We all need to kind of step back, recharge. I know that right now with everything that's going on, it's kind of crazy out there right now. So you might be a little bored and sitting at home, but I am going to encourage you to go out, get some fresh air, spend time with family, and just recharge. And we'll come back after spring break and kind of jump into the next items that we're going to do and talk about what we're going to do going forward. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. You guys have a great spring break.